Sure, that's a long time ago, you know what I mean? So I wasn't impressed too.
Unless we can. Careful, I need this cat, I'll get there, and I'll bring it apart, you know, make it.
All right, we're rolling.
All right, we're gonna start. All right, so this morning, it's an honor and a pleasure to bring back our favorite, the great mayor, former mayor, man about the whole state now, Neal O'Leary. He's gonna talk about the opioid settlement.
So thank you, Mayor Hess, and I was just thinking when I come back next time in the next life, I want to be Michael, wear those clothes. I have to lose about 80 pounds. So. Anyways, good morning, everyone. I first want to start off by introducing Nita Asani. Will you stand? Nita is the opioid coordinator in Waterbury, and I'll tell you in a second about what her job is, but I want you to put a face to her, and she's going to give you her cards and so that you know how to get a hold of her. So listen, here's the story. The money keeps coming in at different levels. You know, the big pharma companies, some are settling, some are still litigating. Purdue obviously is going to be the biggest settlement of all. That's a whole another story. I did go to a meeting. They had the 50 attorney generals at this meeting, and they were talking about, you know, how the states are utilizing the opioid funding. It seems like Connecticut is right there in the mix with everyone else. Everyone has different levels of funding, which means that hey, Jerry. Hey, how are you doing? Everyone, you know, can do or not do certain things, right? So obviously Waterbury's level of funding is different in Beacon Falls and Bristol and Prospect. But look, here's the unique thing about this settlement. They really recognize, they meaning the state leaders recognize that the tobacco settlement basically was a waste. Really, they feel like nothing extraordinarily positive came out of that settlement. They really would like to see, you know, this money go towards saving lives. Everyone's got a different feeling on what's most important. Some people think that having access to Narcan is the most important thing. Some people think that education and awareness is the most important thing. I believe that personally, but you know, I mean, I think you have to start at a very young age appropriate level, probably 4th or 5th grade, if you really are serious about educating children about this, because it's in their homes. I mean, we have, and you know that, you know, we have kids who come into the emergency rooms, both emergency rooms, that have had some exposure to fentanyl and or heroin and or prescription pills. So, you know, I really think it would be helpful if we did the education component, but you know, in a smaller community, there's not a lot of money, right?
Correct.
So what we're trying to do is to encourage the smaller communities to either collaborate with their larger communities, or in a state like Connecticut where there's just a bazillion smaller communities, maybe everybody, like maybe Middlebury would team up with Oxford, who would team up with Woodbury, who might team up with Southbury. And if you pool all that money together, you could develop a curriculum that you would be comfortable with if you were so inclined. You could just go out and just get your hands on as much Narcan as you can, and you make sure your first responders have it, and they're everywhere in their fire trucks and their ambulances and their police cars. I mean, most towns have that now, right? It would be a little bit hard for me to get my head around the fact that that wasn't happening, but believe it or not, I will not throw anybody under the bus, but there are parts of Eastern Connecticut that still are struggling to get their first responders equipped with Narcan, which is sad to me, only because, you know, we have the ability to ship Narcan to you through our agency to get you what you need. It's there. It's there. Everybody's got a different feeling about whether or not you should have it in schools. Most people lean towards it should be in the schools because, as you know, we've had some overdoses in the schools and in the smallest and largest communities. I don't have to rehash any of this with you. The opioid issue is real in a smaller community as it is in an urban community. As a matter of fact, it's a little more real in some of our really small suburban communities, and I know that you're all aware of that. The only reason why I'm here to tell you that, look, we have, because we're the largest town in this COG, we're trying to take a regional approach to this. And we did hire Nita, who has been working with us for a long time now to coordinate our efforts here in Waterbury. We do a lot of different things in Waterbury. We have what's called a warm handoff program. Oh, Mr. Mayor, how are you?
I'm fine.
I'm in your chair. They told
Actually,
me
I'm in your chair, but that's okay.
I thought you were at the fair for the day, they told me. Anyways, we, really believe that, the boundaries and the limits for expending these funds is very broad. You can't go out and buy a town pickup truck, but you can certainly use this money for a variety of different issues, such as you won't have this, but you could have access to this if you felt like you needed it. We have, in Waterbury, we have the warm handoff program. So whenever there's an overdose, we have people on call. They either respond to the scene if the person survives or doesn't, or the hospital. They work with the hospital and the family staff. Most times we know who the people are, right? The repeat offender, repeat overdose people. You give them the Narcan, out the door they go, and then an hour later, maybe they're back. I don't know. That's happened in the past. But it usually takes about 8-10 tries to get people to recognize they're gonna die. Usually their family member or loved one is the one that convinces them to get help. We try to facilitate that. We know that there's not enough beds in Connecticut to facilitate that help, but we do have access through the resources to even go outside of the state now. And not that it's any easier, but sometimes you just get lucky, right? You call somewhere in state, you get lucky, you get a bed. But obviously the key to this whole thing is the individual has to want to go. If the person doesn't want to go, it's not going to work, and don't do it, because they're just going to walk right out the door as soon as you drop them off. And you'll hurt your credibility for the next bed you need for the person that really wants to get help. And it sounds cold and whatever, but it's real because they're so busy, they can't keep up. The crisis is still here. People are dying almost at the same rate as they were. There's a little lull, but all you need is one bad batch of stuff to go out on the street this weekend, and we'll have 5 or 6. And then you'll have a lull. So nothing is really going away. Narcan is in Waterbury, they're having average about 600 Narcan deployments a year. And it is saving lives. I mean, do you ever see anybody who's like a breath away from death and get injected with Narcan? For those of you that have, it's the most miraculous thing you'll ever see in your life. Lips are blue. You can't hear them breathing. They're checking out. You hit them with the Narcan, and all of a sudden, like 30 to 60 seconds later, they're almost walking around. That's the problem, because they feel great. And they are addicted. People don't get it. People say they have their choice. That's their choice they make. You could take that route if you want. But the reality is they are addicts. They think and live for the drug.
And candidly,
It's their whole life.
and candidly need it.
They need it. If they don't get it,
They are
they withdraw. So I'm here to tell you that the money is still gonna come in. It's coming in depending on the settlement. When Purdue settles, even small communities are gonna see a nice chunk of change. But I would really encourage any of you who want to think on a regional level. Mayor Pernarisky, is there. We have this woman, Nita, who's here. She can help coordinate you. Our health department is run by a woman named Ashley McGuckin, who knows this stuff inside out and upside down, and has been one of the front runners in the state, quite frankly, on developing programs that are really starting to get some traction. And it's all pretty much common sense in your world. You're all town leaders and you know, but the reality is that, you know, for those that, and there are people like that, and I'm not suggesting anyone in this room or on this call is like that, but there are some town leaders who really just, the amount of money that they're getting is so small that they're really not expending their funds or using their funds or coming up with a plan. My only worry for that town leader, we're all town leaders. We all try to stick together and help one another. My only problem there is when you have a couple overdose deaths in even the community that has very few overdose deaths. And, you know, the Connecticut Mirror and other media outlets are tracking the towns and cities and what they're doing and what not doing with the money. And if you don't do anything with the money and you do have a couple of tragic overdose deaths, I just worry about the look. It's not my business to worry about the look, what happens in anyone else's town, but if a family makes a big deal out of it, the media will run with it because they're already running with it a little bit because some of the towns have been very slow to expend some of the funds. Again, the safest way to expend the funds, if you're really in a position where you're not able to develop curriculum or build awareness or have town hall meetings or any things that you think that, or that we think could be helpful, is just to get your hands on as much Narcan as you can. If that's gonna make you feel better, at least that's something that you can say, well, we have it in our schools, we have it in our first responders, our volunteer, our paid fire, everybody's got it. And it really, seriously, it does, it's amazing how it does save these.
Mayor, back to where you started, okay?
Mhm.
And I would concur with you. I think the best path forward, it's not immediate, but it's through education. And if we don't educate the young about the dangers of this, you know, it's like anything else. You have to start with the youth and then it gets perpetuated over time. Is there any program that is being developed in Waterbury or elsewhere that you might be aware of on an educational basis where communities can share that resource, not only for the curriculum to be brought forward, but for perhaps a spokesperson from a group that could rotate around, so to speak, to the various different grade levels and in communities who might want to participate in person?
Yeah, the simple answer is yes. We have a curriculum that Nita and Darren Schwartz, who's our deputy superintendent of schools, are in the final throes of, you know, getting out there.
Okay.
So, two things, and we're all very familiar with our Board of Eds, right? So, policies in most towns and cities are that you would first start with your Board of Ed,
Yeah.
get them on board, of course, and then, figure out whether you wanted to go into the schools and or try to educate the parents, through some kind of either school related meeting or town hall type meeting, right? So there's a lot of different avenues and every town is different. When I was with Tommy Dunn in Wolcott, his brother developed what's called Crossroads. And we used to have meetings and they filled the auditorium. In the smallest town like Wolcott, the auditorium was standing room only. I mean, because the people in that town recognize that it's real, even all the way back then. And by the way, that was in 2010 and 11. So, we can do, we can share with you what we have and our plan is just now we've got a couple of things happening. We're trying to make sure that everything is, all the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed, but our plan is getting ready to go to our Board of Ed. So we could certainly share it with you before or after it goes to our Board of Ed. There's some things that might apply to a town like your community that would be different from Waterbury. Certainly, but at the end of the day, at least it's something.
I'd appreciate hearing more on curriculum and the possible participation of staff as well to present. That would be something I'd be interested in. I've certainly learned over the years that, again, if you don't start with the youth and begin to educate them, that's how it comes along over a period of time. Yeah, there are immediate things you can do, such as Narcan, okay? And we have Narcan available quite readily as well, and our police and our ambulance who always respond.
Yeah.
They're the first responders in Thomas. We can save lives with Narcan. But changing the mentality of those have to start at a younger age, I believe. I mean, if we look at anything traditionally like smoking, how did we get to the point where fewer people are smoking cigarettes? Well, quite honestly, by beginning to educate the young and then they became the older generation and they had kids and it was a different scenario, right? It doesn't happen overnight, but that's the best solution, I think.
I don't disagree, and I'm, the glass is half full always with me, but, the smoking is way down, but the vaping is.
Yeah. Well, that's
It's
exactly.
the craziest
Well,
thing.
that's what they blew up.
Too.
And they're vaping everything, so I know, it's just the society we live in, everybody's gotta be doing something stupid, right? I mean, it's
Right, that's
amazing.
true.
I think I think one point we made before is, I know it's so important to teach the youth and get into school, but also the parents. The parents' education to what to watch for, what to look for, the new ways and new ideas.
Agreed,
I mean,
Tommy.
you said that to fill up the auditorium with the parents to say,
Agreed.
this is what you watch for, so.
So,
find
yeah,
something
very
like that.
for us.
It's-
To Tom's point,
Oh,
not only to
I know.
educate the
Not my
parents
case.
as to what's going on, but also, there's a big stigma to this. There's a big stigma and a lot of people want to put their heads in the sand. And especially in education, especially in the schools, my high school, it doesn't have any drugs. Yeah, they all have drugs. Everybody sitting here,
absolutely.
who has a high school has drugs. Now, it's a question of, what do you do about it? Well, how do you do about it? How do you do anything about it if, if everybody is in denial? I mean, that's the one thing, Neal, that impressed me with you, and thank you for coming, and thank you for, in the past, your leadership in this situation, because this is something that every community in the state and in the country should be concerned about this. I mean, I don't know, we have an opioid committee in Oxford. I mean, every community should have that. And these are people we have from doctors down to kids in high school. And they get around and talk about it as to education, how we're going to do it. It's one thing saying, and I agree everything you said, Ed, but it's one thing saying it, and it's another thing implementing it.
I agree.
We actually have had, I mean, we had one candlelight thing. And I figured there'd be about 8 people attend. We had 100 and some people from a lot of other towns. And there was a girl from one of our towns, close to us. It wasn't my town, close to us. And she came out, and the kids got to talk. And she came out and she said, I'm where I need to be. I quit taking drugs 3 days ago. And I need to hear this kind of stuff. And, everybody felt good about it. Everybody encouraged that girl. And, obviously it's not my town. I don't know how she did. But, I got tired of going to wakes and funerals of, kids that were, anywhere from 18 to, I consider somebody 35 a kid, but it's just a tragedy. And, I really think we as a group should be aware of it and, don't think, well, nobody does drugs in Thomaston. Yeah, come on, I'm not using you.
I certainly know they do.
Yeah, but there won't be so many arrests, right? But I think it's something that we could work together as a cog and from this level, have even a council who are, people that are involved in all other towns and trade ideas.
One additional comment. I agree with everything. We're in Naugatuck, we're sort of in the middle. We get more than the small towns, but not enough. But in addition to Narcan, which we've already done, and education, which we work on, we're establishing a mentoring program. In fact, it's underway where we assign mentors to, to people who tried to, have experienced Narcan and work with them and social workers and try and find them jobs and get them services that they need. And I think we're able to fund 2 positions. And we're doing that in addition to the Narcan and the education. And I guess I would like to work with your team on that. And, just as First Selectman Temple said, have us all work together as a cog and do the best we can with what we have.
So those programs work. Although. So the naysayers will say, yeah, they work, for 2 out of 10 people. And they're not wrong. Maybe 3.
That's a home run.
That's a grand slam, right, George?
Absolutely.
I mean, if you save 3 lives
One.
out of 10 people, you're really ahead of the curve because, people are intolerant, they're intolerant of substance abuse.
Yeah.
But, I always go back to this and it's absolutely true. More than half of the people who have died from opioids were not people looking to get high. They got hooked on opioids from athletic injuries, dental surgeries, the strangest things. I mean, honestly, really, that is absolutely a fact. And so doctors now are prescribing less and have to report more. That's made a big impact.
Very good.
But that has also taken a lot of prescription drug off the street. In other words, you can't just call your doctor and get 10 oxys tomorrow. So now, because they have to report, now you're an addict already. So you're going to places like Waterbury to get what you need. And that's where the trouble lies, because you could get a normal dose today and a dose laced with fentanyl. Every overdose in Connecticut last year was fentanyl related. Fentanyl is in everything now. And it's the level of fentanyl is what will kill you. So you could be an everyday addict who is up to 10 bags of heroin a day. You get a hot load of fentanyl, it's going to kill you. If you're not, if you're a 2-bag-a-day person and you get a little bit of fentanyl, it's going to kill you. It's impossible to predict. They're not made in scientific labs.
Look who you're trusting for your dose of fentanyl.
And I think that's the segue into what you said, which I think is the most important thing, George, is to educate the parents in some ways by scaring the daylights out of them.
Yeah.
Because there's not a single family, and if there is anybody here, I would be surprised, but I really don't know of a single family that hasn't been impacted. May not be your immediate family, but your extended family by this crisis. And it is a crisis. Look, all of us probably have had years ago people in our families that had alcohol related issues. But this is different. This kills people. It really does. And the less they know about it, which is what typically happens in a smaller community where there's enough money, where kids can come into a city like Waterbury and figure out how to get their hands on this crap. That's why the smaller communities are suffering the way they are. And, you lose these kids for life. It's over. I mean, George, I know one year you lost 6 or 7 kids. Tommy, I know you lost 4 or 5 and we'll get in 1 year. I mean, you're talking about tiny communities. Those families are never going to recover ever from that loss.
You mentioned the crisis, and I actually linked this to, we call it the trash crisis, and there's short-term and long-term solutions to things. State doesn't want to look at some short-term solutions to the trash crisis. Education is a long-term issue. Obviously, I think we'll all agree on that. I know in Bristol, I can speak, we have a COBRA program, a handoff program. I'm gonna hire 2 community wellness officers with our cannabis funds. I was just talking to a couple of you about that before. But our biggest need is a growing downtown area where homelessness, mental health issues, and substance abuse disorder are all meshed together. my idea, but we don't have the money and the part of the settlement funds that we get to do it, but where we could potentially partner as a group is the larger OSAC funds to do a grant program to build a facility that is transitional housing that is gonna have direct treatment. Because the hardest thing for people is to, and no offense to Waterbury, but to say, you're in Bristol, we're gonna get you 20 minutes to Waterbury to a treatment center, 10 minutes to Woket for a treatment center. You can't afford to lose anybody into a treatment center. So we're open to that kind of idea. I'm working on things and I would more than be willing to partner. And you know as well, but I'll let everybody else here know that Wheeler Health is applied for OSAC funding for a treatment mat assisted program. And it is very unsuccessful for most. I mean, it doesn't bat 1,000, it doesn't bat 500, it's below 500 for treatment and a positive effect. But adding 100% support behind the scenes, nights, weekends, when people run into issues, they're hoping to bring that percentage up to about 50-50. And so they've applied for funding and looking for that. But our biggest issue is we probably need some transitional housing inpatient local options for people, because it does take money. So our resource officers, or they're gonna be called wellness officers, will hopefully make that connection with people 3, 4, 5 months once they get comfortable. We have no place to put them.
Yeah. So there are some new faces around the table. Look, my role in this is there's 2 co-chairs of the opioid settlement committee. One is Commissioner Nancy Navarrete, who is the commissioner of DEMIS. She's been there since the get-go. We both started on the same day. I am the co-chair representing the 169 cities and towns in Connecticut. And our job is just to try to go out there and make you all aware. I love your ideas about putting your programs, Peter, similar to our programs, putting your heads together. You guys want, we have Anita, we have Aisling, we have a mayor who has been in the forefront on this as well. I mean, I think that if this COG could really wanted to embrace something like this, I know that everybody is not always like-minded on these issues, but it certainly wouldn't hurt. And we're here to help. And that's the message for today. Just call. You all have my number. Anita's gonna distribute her number. Just call. We'll put it together. We'll help you coordinate whatever you want to do. And my term is up in December. I don't know whether he's gonna want, because the governor, I offered to resign when I left office December 1st, and he asked me to stay until December of this year at least, and then we'll see what happens from there. So I don't know whether it doesn't matter if I'm there or not. Waterbury still has a coordinator, but it's nice having somebody there. It would be really nice if I didn't stay and they reappointed somebody. Boy, it would be nice to have someone from our area. But then again, I will tell you, when people found out that I was leaving, there was a lot of town leaders who were writing the governor to ask if they could be considered for the replacement, thinking that I was leaving that as well.
I asked the governor for you to stay.
He
He wants you
actually,
to stay.
he actually asked me to stay, but I think it was more because he didn't want to have to piss anybody off. He didn't pick up. But I'm kind of kidding.
Whatever works, right?
Whatever works, it doesn't matter. So that's the story. Anybody have any questions? Can we do anything for you more today? I know you guys Friday and it's
I
hot.
think what we'll do is, Rick, let's put this on a future agenda and we'll try and formalize the suggestion of First Selectman Temple. We'll work with Anita and let's all get her contact information.
Okay.
Why don't we have a regular, special meeting just for that, not try to do it at a regular COG meeting?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
you already formed an opioid committee, which drew staffs. So if you want to meet as the opioid committee, that can be open to anyone to attend. And then we don't have to.
Yeah.
Schedule it with us.
Good idea.
Perfect. Any other questions?
Well, thank you.
Happy Friday.
Any meetings tonight?
Mr. Mayor, come on, take your seat back. You're getting a little hot here.
I hope your house is fixed.
Good to see everybody.
Yeah.
See you.
I'll see you next
All right,
week.
so I'm gonna call the regular meeting to order. We'll rise and have First Selectman Temple lead us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
His roll call, I'm gonna have to double check. I think we've lost a few people who are online, but we'll confirm. From the city of Ansonia, I believe we have Mayor Cassetti on the line.
Mr. Marion, there you go. That's the,
Yeah.
you're around.
Mayor Cassetti still with us on the line?
Yeah.
I have him there and
Here. Here, Rick.
O'Malley, from the city of Ansonia. Thank you, Sheila. From the town of Beacon Falls, first Selectman Smith.
Here.
Here in the room, thank you, sir. Online, from the town of Bethlehem, first Selectman Sorty.
Here.
Thank you, sir. From, the town of Bristol, city of Bristol, Mayor Caggiano.
We're a big, small town here.
Thank you, sir. I don't believe we have anyone from the town of Cheshire today. Anyone from Cheshire online? Okay, from the city of Derby, we have, Mayor's Chief of Staff, Linda Fusco. She's online. Linda? Okay, we'll mark her present. From the town of Middlebury, first Selectman St. John.
Here.
From the borough of Naugatuck, Mayor Hess.
Here.
From the town of Oxford, first Selectman Temple.
Here,
From the town of Plymouth, Mayor Kilduff. Here. From the town of Prospect, Mayor Chatfield.
Here.
From the town of Seymour, first Selectman Jonas.
Here.
Thank
Yeah, I
you.
go around.
From the city of Shelton, Mayor Loretti. From the town of Southbury, is first Selectman Manville still with us? I know he was online. He's dropping out of line. We might be having some trouble. Okay. From the town of Thomaston, first Selectman Moan.
Here.
From the city of Waterbury, Mayor Parnaruski.
Here.
From the town of Watertown, is Mark Bramwell with us? I don't see him. From the town of Wolcott, Mayor Dunn.
Here.
From the town of Woodbury, it's first Selectwoman Perkins. She hasn't rejoined us. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum for both bodies present. We're also joined today, as you saw by Neal O'Leary and Nita Sani. Ben Lovejoy from the Department of Housing is with us. He'll be on the agenda later today. Daniel Davis from Eversource is here with us. Jane Dunbar, our field coordinator from DOT, is with us today. I had Representative Cindy Harrison online, but I think she's dropped off. And then John Field from Emergency Management is on the line with us today. With that, if I may, Mr. Chairman, I just have a couple of introductions. We have a guest with us today, Rachel Leon. Rachel, if you want to stand up. Rachel's a student, just graduated from St. Paul's in Bristol, lives in Wolcott. And she's gonna be attending Boston University to study environmental analysis and policy in the fall. She currently works as a file clerk at Secord Cassidy and McPartland, and we hope to interest her in sticking around and being with us, but we always want to recognize high school students and rising college students when they can join us. Welcome. We're also joined by Freddie Rios today. Freddie is a temporary GIS planning assistant for the COG. Has an undergrad degree in urban planning. He just graduated with his master's in geography from Central. And Freddie is going to be involved in updating our regional land use and sidewalk data sets with the new aerial imagery that's being released by the state. He'll also be assisting with the open space inventory and updating some of our existing map applications. Welcome, Freddie.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody.
And finally, Jacob Bartel is with us today. I think Jacob's there. He is. Jacob is NVCOG Sustainable CT Fellow. He's joining us from Sacred Heart University in Bridgeport. Jacob's originally from San Diego. He's interested in learning about city planning and management while he's helping our Naugatuck Valley towns achieve their sustainable communities certifications this summer. So thank you, Jacob.
Well, morning, everyone.
Thank you, Rick. Welcome. At this time, we will entertain public comment. Is there anyone who would like to address the COG?
We did not get any requests online.
All right, second call for public comment. Last call for public comment. All right, we will go to our CNVMPO meeting. In the interest of time, I'm gonna suggest that we go straight to the resolutions. And then
I'll move
if there are
that.
questions, we'll go to
Second.
Kevin. So let's go with CNVMPO Resolution 2024-15. We have a motion.
Get a motion to check that
A
out.
motion from Prospect, second from Woolkit. Kevin, a brief summary.
Yeah, so this is a one project for the tip. This is we're replacing loop detectors with 360 cameras at 76 intersections within the Bridgeport Stanford urban area. There's one location in our region, which is in Southbury along Route 188 at a private driveway. I guess I'll take any questions.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 2, we'll go straight to resolution 2024-16.
Motion Plymouth.
Motion from Plymouth,
Second.
second from Woolkit. Rich?
Yeah, so the Unified Planners Work Program is our 2-year work program for the MPO and our transportation planning staff. We adopted a 2024 and 2025 work plan last spring. But we have made some amendments to that document in light of some of the recent federal awards that the COG has won, as well as a set aside of money that had been withheld by CTDOT until additional federal highway guidance was released. So the update is only to the total amount of funding available in the 2025 planning year. It adds just a little bit more than $1.5 million of additional planning funds for our staff, which includes the set aside for complete streets work, the $1.2 million award for the Protect program, and the $400,000 award under the Safe Streets and Roads for All program.
All right, questions for Rich? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. And we'll now go to resolution 2024-17. Move Thomaston, second Plymouth. Who do we have here, Rich?
Yeah, it's the Transportation Alternatives
Mark.
Program. It's a federal aid program, provides funding to do various activities like multi-use trails, pedestrian sidewalk improvements, things like that. CTDOT is opened the program and is soliciting us to come up with project proposals. The funding is allocated by urbanized or TMA areas, and our region is in parts of 4 of them. So we have to work with the Bridgeport Stanford urban area, the Hartford area, as well as the Woodbury area. And Woodbury is part of the small urban area, so we also have to work with Danbury urban area. Anyway, these are the project proposals that we've come up with. This is for the Stanford area. Bridgeport Stanford area, number 1 priority is project in Stanford, number 2 is Ansonia, project in Bridgeport is number 3. Go to the next slide, Rich. And then these are the priorities that we have come up with for the small urban areas, a project in Prospect. And then WestCog, representing Danbury, is putting in a east-west trail study project. Next slide. And then these are the projects that are being proposed by the Hartford urbanized area, which is primarily the capital region council of government. So what we're asking, we've met with staff with all 3 other partner agencies, and we created a selection process and evaluation process. And these are the recommendations we've come up with. So the resolution is just to endorse staff's recommendations to bring these forward to the CTDOT.
All right, questions for Mark?
And these rankings have been endorsed by TTEC.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Minutes for approval.
So move Prospect.
Second, Bristol.
All right, any questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Michael, financial report.
Thank you. So this is the financial report for May 31st, 2024. We're 11 months through the year. Our current net position is $111,000. cash balance of $868,000. We're on target for all our major funding sources, no unexpected funding cuts, and we really don't have any real material exorbitant expenses. So a couple overages, but it's small amounts. And I am projecting a year end of about a 40K surplus.
Okay, so no problems.
No, sir.
Any questions for Michael?
Move acceptance.
Second, Dean Paul.
Second, Beacon Falls, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Rick,
Yes.
Director's report.
Of course, I forgot my notes. So, I'll just, a quick update on Kennytown. We hope to be moving forward, quickly. At this point, we're in the midst of the due diligence period, still the extended due diligence period. So the, BL Companies has finished the land survey, or is wrapping it up and putting it together with the title, documentation to get us a good map of the parcel. We should have that soon. EPA is, I think, just, wrapping up their survey for river bottom sediments. They'll be producing a sediment management plan. We probably have some test results soon, but won't have a report until August on that. And that's to measure the levels in the Coal Pond impoundment, in the Kennytown impoundment, and then background levels above Tingu Dam and below the Derby, the bridge in Derby over the Naugatuck River, near the Housatonic. Other than that, I mean, we're on a schedule now. We have to, by September 30th, indicate whether the land bank, and it would be the land bank, we'll have to indicate if they're going to close on the acquisition of the assets by the 30th. Resolution of some of the safety problems with Coal Pond are the obstacle, a major obstacle right now. So we'll get this done over the summer. I'll be meeting with the chairman and the Brownfields Land Bank. Hopefully it'll be their decision at that point whether to acquire, but the COG is only involved in managing the grants. Moving on, we're not gonna do anything with bylaw revisions and personnel policy today. All of the individual changes in policy have already been approved by, for personnel policy by the board, or updates based on current law, statute, and other requirements. So they're all leafed into the current policy, but I'm gonna rewrite the whole thing, bring it back to you with the directive on the revision of the bylaws for consideration in September. Both of those in September. And I should say that's the recommendation of revisions from the executive. And then the organizational chart, I apologize, we haven't been able to work in a format where it's actually, you're able to read it on the screen. It's tough. Obviously, we've added quite a few positions and spread out into several different divisions. But we normally present the org chart to you at the beginning of the fiscal year, and wanted to be able to present it. You'll have a paper copy we can distribute. If we didn't distribute this with the packet, which we might not have, we'll send it out after the meeting, so at least you can get a paper copy and get a look at it. But it just really lays out the structure so that it's understandable and shows what vacancies there are. The only one that's vacant that we're planning to fill, we're interviewing currently for the project manager position, still, but other than that, we're full. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Right, but we're gonna do this in September.
Yeah, bylaws and the others will be in September.
All right, seeing no questions, we'll go to Drew and municipal services. Should we go straight to the resolution, Drew?
Sure, basically, that's all I have anyway.
Okay, let's go to resolution 2024-20.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Drew,
So in your package, you find a copy of the grant scope and budget for the RSG, which is the Regional Services Grant you get from OPM. This is a yearly item that your board considers. I just wanted to give Savannah, Nicole and the rest of our staff a shout out because we worked very hard on getting kind of the statement of work up to snuff and get it into OPM on time. We probably won't get the award for this until August. That's why it's in front of you now, because we're obviously, you generally don't meet in August. But we're just looking for an endorsement of the resolution so we can accept those funds.
All right, questions for Drew?
To be clear, this is our statutory grant from the state, so that's by statute.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Legislative update.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. So you each should have received an email from Jack De Oliveira outlining the new legislation that goes into effect on July 1st. Some of you already reached out for clarity on some of those items, but feel free to reach out if you have any additional questions. There will be a subsequent email that will be sent from myself and or Jack regarding the new legislation that goes into effect in October and then again for January 1. We do ask though that if you have any hot button legislative issues that are on your mind heading into the upcoming fiscal year, please flag those things for us ASAP so we can get them to Rick, who will then kind of have that discussion at CTCOG with the other COG directors. Hopefully, we're all rolling together and able to make some changes in this upcoming session. And that includes stuff that didn't quite make it over the finish line this year or things that you're hearing may come down the pike. One final note, we're hearing that there is potential for a special session for the summer to be called over motor vehicle taxes, which I know a couple of you have already expressed concern over. So if you do have any concerns about that, we recommend getting directly to your state legislators as soon as possible, because that could be in the coming weeks here.
All right,
Can I simply,
yes.
Drew, is there anything in particular that you see on this report that would pop out that really should come to our attention?
On the July 1 report?
On that, which, yeah.
The one that Jack,
Yep.
there's nothing that's, I think, super pressing, honestly, like no, like resolutions you have to adopt this week or anything like that. I'll get you a little, summary later today, follow up, I'll reply all to that. And just, if there is anything that's specific that I think you need to really be on for next week, I'll let you know, but for the most part, it was kind of an FYI.
Thank you.
Thank you, welcome.
Okay, emergency management update.
So as always, John Field is online, so if anybody has any questions related to anything emergency management related, you certainly can direct them to him. One specific item I did want to highlight for you on Friday, June 14th, you should have received an email from John about the local cybersecurity grant program. This is a new program that is piloted by Demis and the CT Cybersecurity Planning Subcommittee. There is a link within the email, but for the purposes of summary, the grant can be used to develop cybersecurity plans for testing and evaluation of current systems, additional security protections, and training for staff. Probably that training for staff, we as a COG use a company that gives us monthly trainings, really, really useful for municipal staff to not click on things and potentially infect your entire city. So we would recommend that. We're happy to point in that direction if needed.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you.
All right, so we're gonna switch gears now. Community planning. Savannah, do you want to start it off?
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. I will just hand it to Ben Lovejoy, Project Manager from the Department of Housing. They have a new program that they are going to share information about.
All right,
Thank you.
take it away.
Good morning, everybody. As Savannah said, my name is Ben Lovejoy. I'm a project manager for the Department of Housing. I'm excited to present an overview of a brand new program that I oversee at the agency. Before we get started, I want to thank Chairman Hess, Vice Chair Loretti, Executive Director Dunn, and Director Savannah Cole for the opportunity to speak before this board about this program. The next slide, please. All right, so let's get into things. Today, I'm going to be providing you a brief overview of the Department of Housing's Municipal Affordable Housing Technical Assistance Program, where it came from, why it was created, and where it'll be helped at the agency. I'll just then briefly explain how the program supports existing efforts and assistance that's currently provided by the COG, as well as how the agency plans to work in conjunction with community planning within this region of the state. Finally, I'll provide you all with a summary of potential assistance that I can provide to your municipalities, as well as next steps for myself, and let any municipality know if they'd like to be involved, how they can become a participant. I'll be available to take questions at the end of the meeting if anybody has them, or if there's time permitting during this time. Next slide, please. So what is the Municipal Affordable Housing Technical Assistance Program and where did it come from? Last year, Commissioner Marscar Bruno recognized that many of our municipalities across the state have been struggling to implement their locally adopted affordable housing plans, also known as the 830J plan, and created this Municipal Technical Assistance Program at the agency in hopes that there was a place and a role for the state to assist in the municipalities as they try to make progress implementing those plans. I was hired earlier this year and was asked to essentially create this program from the ground up that's offered through the agency. The core of this program is designed to provide direct technical assistance to proactive communities that want to make progress on the goals and recommendations that they've all adopted in their affordable housing plans, but might be struggling to do so with limited capacity and institutional knowledge. This program started this year and it will run for 3 years through the end of February of 2027. It's my hopes, though, that at the end of this pilot program that I can make it a permanent fixture at the agency. In many ways, though, this program offers very, very similar services to what is currently being provided by Savannah Nicole and her team at the Community Planning Department. And because of that, this program is going to operate slightly different in this region as compared to other areas in the state. I'll get into that in a moment. But first, let me tell you a little bit about the staff that's assigned to this program. Next slide, please. This program will operate through the Office of Policy Research and Housing Support, and therefore will be supervised by Director Michael Santoro. I will serve as the project manager, and when appropriate, my coworkers Laura Watson and Connor Quinlan will assist me on research and fact finding. But as you can see, it's a small department, and Michael's already sort of pulled in many directions. So I'm alone in this process. That does limit what I'll be able to do, but I think that there's an opportunity for me to work with municipalities in this region on a more refined manner than what I would traditionally be doing with some of the other municipalities. The next slide, please. Now that you have a general understanding of what this program is, who is managing it, I just want to now discuss how it'll operate specifically within the Naugatuck Valley region. As mentioned earlier, the COG hosts an incredibly robust technical assistance program and region that offers many of the services that municipalities can get through this Department of Housing program. This includes land use analysis, research, memo drafting, GIS services. But given that both of us are offering similar products through our individual programs, I'm going to look to modify the operations to best fit this unique scenario within this region. As we all know, this addressing affordable housing across the state is a highly complex matter, and duplication of efforts is not an efficient manner to go about doing things. So given that you have community planning here, much of the technical assistance offered in this region will operate in conjunction with the COG. Traditionally speaking, in this program, if a municipality reaches out to me to request assistance, I simply schedule a meeting, and then I begin to do a preliminary assessment on what they're looking for, what they need help with, and then I discuss potential next steps. But in this region, if I'm contacted by a member municipality, I will work in conjunction directly with NVCOG staff, invite them to all meetings, and make a conscious effort, where appropriate, to involve them in every step of the way. At the preliminary meeting, it is my hopes that NVCOG staff, if one of you are to reach out to me, NVCOG staff can join me, and we'll do a sort of co-presentation as to what the availability of services are. After the meeting, I'll discuss things with Savannah and Nicole to figure out who should take lead on this request, who's the most appropriate avenue to go down, and then sort of determine a way that the COG and the agency can best serve that community exactly, and what's the best approach to adequately addressing the municipality's needs. This will assure that all of our planning efforts for the municipalities will be made with both a local and a regional context. And my hopes that are through this partnership that the agency will further strengthen its relationship with this COG. There are places where this Department of Housing program can assist that the COG may not have direct access to. So a collaborative approach will be key, and I think will be very beneficial for this region. The whole goal of this program is to get more affordable housing units built across the state. And what that looks like is very different from community to community. So that means that consistent collaboration and utilizing the institutional knowledge that the team here at COG has acquired in the, I think, 4 to 5 years that program has been in place is the real only way that we're going to make progress towards regional and local goals. Next slide, please. Before I get into the specifics and discuss the wrap around services that this agency can provide in conjunction with community planning, I want to just mention a few things that this program is not. First and foremost, this program is not supplanting or replacing COG-led regional and community planning efforts and existing technical services. This isn't like pick a parent. We're gonna be working directly one-to-one, and it's critical that we do so in this region. Second, this is not a substitute for contracted consulting services. I know many of your municipalities go out to access additional services through the way of the various consulting firms, and I'm simply incapable of replacing something along those lines. It's also not undermining local control, and this is really, really important part of this. This is not a state-led agency coming in and telling your municipality how you should be managing your housing development. This is a program that is specifically designed to support your local efforts. Finally, this is not a substitute for hiring planning professionals. As you saw, I'm one person, and this program is open to the whole state on a rolling basis based on who approaches me first. And so I simply can't replace what would traditionally be a planner in-house. And I can't stress enough that this program is purely voluntary and designed to be empower and provide a municipality with the necessary tools to improve the affordable housing landscape within your respective community. Any assistance that I provide will be delivered at the pace at which the participant decides. This is not the agency coming in and saying, hey, this is what we want you to do. This is where we want you to go. I'm essentially there to just assist. So if you want help from me, please reach out. Next slide, please. So what are some of the services that might be a little bit unique to this program and how it'll be offered within this region? I think the biggest and key one here is project and development specific assistance. One area that's unique is that this program, and through me and the agency, can offer project specific assistance and discussions within that municipality. For example, if you have an area that wants to be developed and it's stalled, it's gone through the approval process, the developer needs assistance, it's funding, things along those lines, I can help coordinate agency resources with the town and hopefully find a funding mechanism that might be able to support that development. That project specific support is exciting because I feel like it complements a lot of what the COG is able to offer, but it also helps to sort of remove the veil of confusion that often happens when having to interact with an agency. There's a lot of programs out there, and the governor has made it very clear that he wants to support by way of financial resources the development of affordable housing across the state. Other services include in this region are assisting with regional trainings, supporting workshops with the community planning staff, assisting with research, coordinating resources at the agency level, and providing one-to-one contact with the agency. So if one of your towns has been working with Savannah and she has a question, she can come directly to me and I can help streamline that process. Next slide, please. So next steps. The next steps for this program is if any of this sounds interesting to you, please speak with your planning staff, administrators, economic development teams, etc., and determine interest in receiving services. Traditionally, I work directly with the planning office for any participants in this town, but given this unique role, there'll be a little bit more of additional coordinating that will be required before I can kind of move forward. It's also very important, and I'll mention this as far as next steps. If any of these municipalities currently have any stalled developments or have anything that's taking time, a lot of people right now are sitting on their hands because of the high interest rates, particularly on the development side. But we do have a few new programs at the state that's going to help with financing. So if you do have any stalled developments, please contact, Savannah, myself, so that we can start to coordinate and have that discussion. As for next steps for myself, I want to continue to build the relationship that I have with this COG here. And I want to continue to discuss how we can coordinate as far as trainings and regional support. Savannah Nicole asked me about, for example, like doing an 830G overview for the region, and we've already got approval for that. I'm excited to talk with you further about that. But we'll be able to offer these sort of trainings at the regional level. Next slide, please. I just want to thank everybody again for the opportunity to speak before this board. I want to thank you all for the hard work that you do. And if you have any questions, I'll take them. My contact information is on the screen here. And if anyone needs to reach out to me, feel free. I don't know if this was distributed in the packet, but I can certainly make sure that a PDF of this presentation gets sent out through the comment. If anyone has any questions, I'll take them.
Questions, Mayor Chatfield.
What about mobile home parks? Many towns in the state, including mine and 3 other people sitting around the table, have them. Is there any thought on including mobile homes in this as a affordable housing?
There's been some are you speaking from the standpoint of like counting those units towards the 830G 10%?
correct.
Yeah, so on that side of things, on the legislative end, I can't speak to what type of policy changes that we would have to acquire that, but I do know that based on watching what the housing committee has done, there's been a lot of discussions about modifying the way that the points are accumulated.
We have very strict planning and zoning regulations on this, and we had several. When I took office, we were in the middle of lawsuits, and it's a very nice place now. And there's 157 mobile homes on our particular park, and I know other towns here have mobile homes, which should be maybe help if that was looked into, and could probably be included with on the list.
Yeah, I can't remember specifically, but I do believe there was some discussion at the legislative level this year about modifying some of the ways that the points are accumulated. I do work directly with Laura Watson. She's in the same office as me, and she's the one who manages the list that all of you submit to. If you have like specific questions about like whether your units are getting accounted for, you feel free to reach out to directly. I'll do my best to answer them. But as far as how the agency isn't really advocated for modifying the way that the points are added up, we just sort of more on the management end of it. But it is, I know that 10% level is a goal of many of the municipalities.
Mayor Sheffield, absent a legislative change, the only way to get the units counted is to have the owner of the property deed restrict the property and comply with all appropriate state laws for fair housing. So if you can talk to your property owner, you can accomplish it. Now, whether the legislature is going to deal with it, that would be helpful to some communities.
Yeah, and another thing is, if there's questions about, our previous con plan that sort of states what we're going to, or the action plan that states the goals of the agency, we do one every year. It was, I think, 2022 or 2023, preservation of affordable units was a big component of it. So a lot of those have 40-year life cycles on it. And a lot of these products were built not around that time was the last time we did a significant amount of building. So if you have questions about that, you want to look into it, certainly feel free to reach out to me and I can make sure to connect you with how you can advocate that.
All right, any other questions?
One quick one, does your purview go past, low income house tax credits into the affordable, and I think people are using lots of different terms, but, workforce development in particular? We literally have a project in Bristol that is not deed restricted, was granted brownfield cleanup, 60% or higher AMI. Doesn't seem to be great funding sources to help out future developers. We're about to take it over and we have some developers that are interested, but would you be able to?
Yeah, that's a great opportunity to set up a meeting. If you have a space that's gone through that process, but the developer is struggling to either acquire funds, we have a brand new program. That's coming out in the coming, I think it's out now, but I gotta double check on at CHAPA. It's a new, what they call a workforce housing initiative, which is I think it's 2.5%. It's definitely way lower than the current interest rates. And that's applicable for 80 to 120%. But if someone is going into the more deeply affordable region, that 40 to 60, and we start getting in there, there's different programs at the state that qualify for different types of funding mechanisms. We have a program called DEP, Developer Engagement Program, where a town and a developer can submit an application that gives an overview of the plan. We have our development side at the agency. They review those plans and then they try to connect the dots as far as whether funding mechanisms would be available. So if there is something along those lines, we should definitely be in communication at some point in time, because I can find out, the worst thing I can do is tell you, sorry, there's nothing else, but I have worked with a few municipalities working with one right now. And it's sort of a similar situation.
And,
Thank you.
often a problem, or at least in my community, I have a developer who wants to develop 35 affordable units. What's standing in the way to some extent is the capacity of our water pollution control facility. Is there any assistance to WPCAs to perhaps provide that kind of infrastructure or upgrade in order to service that type of community?
I don't know the exact answer to that question, but if you want me to pursue looking into that, if that is a valid barrier, one of the things about this program is I don't have any clear cut, we're gonna be more concrete about exactly what I'm gonna do, but every town is unique and, I'm looking into things out of the traditional norms. For example, working with a municipality right now that has a development wants to go in place. There's a major issue with the area where it is having traffic concerns. So even though I'm not a traffic planner or anything along those lines, I've been working between the DOT and the agency itself to say, hey, we need a traffic study done. Can we get the study? That could be a long period of time. And so if you're exploring like how to do those upgrades, infrastructure upgrades qualify under the small cities CDBG block grant. So that might be an opportunity. We can sit down and say, hey, this might be a space where you can start to build your application for the next funding round. If you have like a clear idea.
And they would qualify for the lower interest rate for infrastructure?
So I'm pretty certain that you can apply for infrastructure upgrade funds through small cities. Grant.
Cities, yeah.
Yeah, so if you had like a concrete number, that's a grant.
Right,
So,
right. Well, we don't have that at this juncture. Obviously, a study would be necessary to be able to determine what the upgrades would be necessary to treatment plant in order to accommodate, because it's close to capacity, and others are already committed, obviously. And this may not be a determining factor. I've been working with my WPCA to try to get them to approve it, indicating to them this is a valuable resource for our community, but it's questionable at this point. But there could potentially be funding sources available, and if I contacted you, you would help us in some manner.
yeah, and like I said, the worst case is I can do some research into it and figure out what would be the next steps if you want to pursue that, and I can provide that before you.
Follow up then. So you're not aware of any specific housing finance programs that would pay for general wastewater upgrades?
I'm still learning I started in February, just to have some clarity. And I'm still learning the ins and outs of all of the various funding programs that we have. I do know that we have a lot of money that's gone to us as an agency to support affordable housing units. And so a process for how I've been going about doing this, as I mentioned earlier, Micah Santoro, who's my direct supervisor, has been working in this field for over 30 years. So a lot of times what happens is I go and I do these meetings, I sit with the town, I talk about, find out what are the barriers, what are the preventative things, and I go back to him and say, where can we kind of go from this? And a lot of times he'll say, all right, we're gonna go out, contact this person and go out and reach out to that person. So if you want to set up that preliminary, I'm more than happy to discuss that and at least start the process. You know?
Yeah, I'll check. I'm gonna check further with my WPCA, see where they stand on the issue, and if it continues to be the issue, so to speak, which it appears to be. I'll reach out to you, okay? Perfect.
And this is in the packet, Ben's contact info.
That's what I'm writing down.
He's gonna send out.
You're gonna send it out?
Oh, just up there
Yeah,
as well,
yeah.
too, if you- I got it here, if somebody wants it, I wrote it down, it was on the slide.
Yeah,
There it is about.
yeah, again, I have a PDF of this presentation. There's also I have like a one-page overview that has some things. I don't know if I sent that over to the COG. They have like an announcement email that has some.
Can we have that sent out?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, let's do that. Any other questions for Ben?
Maybe the calendar.
I know, right?
All right, thank you. for
Thank you so
coming,
much.
Ben.
Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
All right. So, community planning newsletter update, Emily and Molly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We wanted to let you know that we recently released our 2023 land use referral summary. It was included in your meeting packet, and it's also available online. And it basically is an analysis of our statutorily required referrals that we received at NVCOG for the last year. And so we're planning to continue this and do this annually to provide you information on land use decisions in the region. And if you have any questions about the process, please reach out to Savannah, Nicole, or I, or even comments on the data. We'd love to hear it. And related to this, you also have received a survey from my colleague Emily to complete. It's due by the end of the day about how frequent you want to receive lists of referrals that we receive to your community. And that went out to you and also your land use staff. So just if you want your preference heard, get that to us by the end of the day.
Okay, thank you, Molly. Emily?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. In the spring issue of the Community Planning Newsletter, we interviewed Shelton's Teresa Gallagher, their Natural Resource Manager. She was featured in both the municipal best practice and the people behind the plans. Her interview sparked great discussion and insight into the Conservation and Community Engagement Board, the Conservation Commission, and committees where trails, anti-litter, and community garden are doing in Shelton. She highlighted the collaborative and supportive environment between the municipality, staff, committee members, and volunteers in the continuous conservation work happening in Shelton. You can now read the articles on the NVCOG website in the news tab on the homepage. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Emily. So who's gonna give us the report on the housing coffee hour update?
I will, Mr. Chair. Thank you. NVCOG held a housing and school enrollment coffee hour this Monday. It was very well attended. We had over 80 people in attendance, and we've heard very positive feedback about this event. Dr. Don Poland of Goldman and York had a presentation that discussed how our demographic changes, our school enrollment, and our housing developments all play into one another. And so we had some chief elected officials attend, we had superintendents from our region attend, we had planning and zoning commissioners and community members. If you are interested in watching this webinar, we do have it linked on our website, and we can also follow up and share the information. But this was really well received as a useful event across decision makers.
I would just say I couldn't attend, but I did review your materials. And there was a lot of good information in there. No surprises, but good backup information.
Thank you.
They showed a subdivision from 1976 and all the homes and how many children lived in the homes. They showed the same subdivision now, and the decline in students was dramatic. So interesting information.
That is also a trend across the state now.
No surprise.
Some places are growing, very few places, but most places are in decline.
Well, this is saying that even all places, there's less students in a household than in the past, from fertility rates and things like
You
that.
may see a student increase, right, in your community?
We've
No,
been-
You don't either?
8,000 students since I was on the Board of Ed in 2015. We're about the same. We're flat. So we do see an increase in younger families, but we're also seeing, the elderly living in place, so we're not turning over enough stock to make a change. I caught the end of this. I had my whole staff actually watching the planner, ECD director and others, and yeah, it's helpful. We're also building downtown pretty dramatically with a lot of units, but I'm gonna call that kind of smarter development for the Board of Ed. They're not gonna add a lot of students in that downtown development, so it was very worthwhile. I recommend you listen to it.
All right, regional plan of conservation and development.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So community planning is refocusing on the regional plan of conservation and development. Our goal is to have this done by the end of the next fiscal year. We know that you have heard lots of timelines, but we are going to do a better job of being transparent about where we are in this process, and we're really committed to moving forward in earnest. So with that in mind, we are going to be sending you an email requesting that you appoint one person from your staff to a steering committee to assist NVCOG staff with this effort. Potential appointees could include your land use staff, your economic development staff, your grant writer, yourself, your director of public works, whomever you'd like to be a part of this broader conversation. And we'd like to see different perspectives, so please feel free to think outside of that box, but we'd really love to have your representation there. And then, as you know, we have very talented staff that do this work from a professional place. We know what we're doing. We like doing this work, but the pictures on the slide today are pictures of members of our staff who have grown up in this region, people who've lived, played, worked, given back, just have had life here, have know what it means to be from this region. And so these photos are just to show that, yes, we'll be working on this plan as your technical staff, your community members that understand what's going on, but we care deeply for very personal reasons as well. And so our goal is by the end of this, we have something that you are proud of, and all of these people in these pictures are really proud of too.
All right, thank you.
Picture is George Temple.
Staff, yeah.
Didn't grow up here, did you? Newark.
I know where Rick is.
I think you're talking about Drew.
Oh.
That's Drew in the All Valley,
The football?
all,
really?
well, not the little kids, the photo, the newspaper. That's Drew.
Oh.
He's Mr. All Valley with hair. You might not be able to pick him out. No, I'm the neighborhood football team.
Yeah.
That's me.
That's
We're
what
missing one.
I was talking about.
Thank you, Rick. All right,
Young and innocent.
Imagine that.
all right, let's shift from Savannah to Aaron, Brownfield.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I was the one with the rainbow trout, at Brooklyn. Thank you. So Ricardo's in Hartford this morning at a DEP, Brownfields meeting, so I'll be covering for him. There is a project update, memo in your packet. Next slide, please. So just a couple announcements. One, there are 2 public information meetings upcoming. Both will be hybrid meetings, one for 281 Canal Street in Shelton on Thursday, June 27th at 6:30 PM in the Shelton City Hall. And one for 300 Broad Street in Bristol on July 10th at 6:30 PM in Bristol City Hall. And an announcement, NVCOG Brownfields program is going to receive a 2024 Achievement Award from the National Association of Regional Councils that recognizes outstanding regional initiatives. And Rick will be at the NARC conference next week to receive that award. In case in point, NVCOG received a supplemental $3.5 million revolving loan fund award for cleanup projects and $500,000 for assessment funding from EPA. And a solicitation notice was distributed to the 25 regional brownfield partnership municipalities. This is it on the screen here. You can get to that information with that QR code on the screen or through our website. And you can direct any questions about any of that to Ricardo or Stephen Perry on our staff.
Okay, questions for Aaron? Okay, let's go to resolution 24-21.
Okay, so NVCOG, as we've discussed several times, is receiving a grant for $300,000 from DEP to study the formation of a regional waste authority or expansion of existing regional waste authorities in the region. And we're currently working through DEP's contracting process, but they've informed us that we do need a board resolution to accept the funds. So that is what the resolution is that is in your packet.
Okay, very good.
God, 24-21 attachment, whatever it is, there's one with
Okay, motion.
9-2.
Thomaston,
Second.
I'll second it.
second. All right, any discussion? We're already underway, so we better,
I would say so.
all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Household hazardous waste.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. Our summer household hazardous waste event is going to take place on Saturday, July 27th from 8 AM to 2 PM at the Wolfwood Public Works Facility at 48 Todd Road. There aren't any programmatic changes from the last one. And our next, our final fall event will take place on Saturday, September 28th at Nonawag High School. Information, including a flyer, has been distributed to your staff. And we ask that any social media posts include either a link or a picture of the flyer. I'm happy to take any questions.
All right, questions for Stephen? Thank you. Climate Resilience Fund update. Christine.
I think we maybe have, in the revised version of the packet, there's a sustainable CT update. Does that sound right?
Rick?
Yeah.
Climate Resilience Fund update.
Yeah, no, that's not the revised. You have the old.
All right,
Okay, so I'll just,
Sustainable Connecticut update.
sure, I will turn it over to Jacob Bartel.
Hello, everybody. Again, my name is Jacob Bartel, and I'm the Sustainable CT Fellow working in NVCOG this summer. My role is to assist municipalities with becoming certified in sustainable CT, as well as assist the town with any other sustainable related initiatives. For those who might not know, Sustainable CT is a nonprofit organization that seeks to inspire, support, and recognize the sustainability actions of Connecticut towns and cities. We offer a voluntary certification program, no-cost technical support, and funding to implement sustainability best practices. Certification in our program is not mandatory and is not required to access any of our resources, which are always available to those who are registered with us. Again, some of these resources include an action roadmap, where on our site you can find 77 sustainability best practices that may be of interest to your town, commissions, or other groups supporting municipalities. Each action has a link or links to supporting resources, funding, and other action success stories across the state. We also have a program called the Community Match Fund, a one-to-one matching program available to anyone or any sustainable project in your town. Instead of facing the obstacles around obtaining a grant, the match fund provides funding up to $15,000 based off of simple climate-related criteria that can get your eco-friendly project started. All of this and more can be found on our website. Another resource is me, the fellow. Certification process takes time and can be a little complicated, and I'm here to help with everything related to that. As well as if you are also registered, I can help with everything outside of Sustainable CT initiatives as well. I can help gather documents and submit actions for certification, as well as assist with projects ranging from gathering simple brochures for a town to tabling at community events. I'm basically just here to help with anything you need. I'm available after the meeting. I would love to answer any questions you may have about our program. If this is something you are interested in, I can get you started as early as today. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any questions from Jacob? All right. Christine.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Back in March, this board passed a resolution to accept a grant from Connecticut Deep's Climate Resilience Fund to address one of the most prominent impacts of climate change in our region, flooding. NVCOG bundled together 9 culvert and drainage sites that had been previously identified in hazard mitigation plans and road stream crossing inventories as being in need of redesign. The scope for this project includes the investigation of flooding issues at these sites, preliminary designs for improved infrastructure, and the drafting of grant applications for construction funds. Our contract with Deep was finalized a couple months ago, and we've been hard at work to get an engineering consultant on board. Through a thorough RFP process, we've selected Lukes, DeCarlo, and Dahl, and expect to have executed a contract with them within the next month. Today's update is simply meant to provide a heads up to the municipalities of Ansonia, Middlebury, Naugatuck, Oxford, Seymour, Shelton, Thomaston, Waterbury, and Woolgate. Lukes will be in touch with your staff shortly to get this exciting project underway. No action is necessary today, just an update, but I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Transportation planning, Rich.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll turn it right over to Tayo. We'll talk about a new element from the.
Okay, Kyle.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to talk briefly about noise enforcement cameras. The Connecticut General Assembly recently passed HB 5524, the bond bill. Included in the bill were sections allowing municipalities to authorize the use of automated enforcement cameras. This action is in response to the increasing occurrence of vehicular noise pollution from vehicles with either retrofitted exhaust systems or blaring stereos across the state. By this passage, we're joining other cities like Albuquerque, Knoxville, Miami, New York, Sacramento, and Washington, D.C., who also have the same. The bill states that municipalities must adopt an ordinance to that effect, and that violations occur when the sound is above 80 decibels. First violations are subject to a written warning. Second violations will earn a $100 fine, while subsequent violations will earn a $250 fine. Please feel free to reach out to me for further information about this. At this juncture, Mr. Chairman, with your kind permission, I would like to take comments and questions from the floor. Thank you for this.
I have a question. Do you have a draft ordinance?
No, sir, but I can help you get one. We'll work on it.
Okay, could you provide that to all?
I'll be willing to use it.
All right, any other questions? Thank you, Tayo. We'll go to the low impact development Yukon tour.
Thank you, Chairman.
LIP.
Thank you, Chairman. This is a brief update on our upcoming low impact development tour at the Yukon Stores campus. NVCOG is teaming up with Yukon to host a low impact development tour that will explain what low impact development is, as well as its stormwater management benefits and what it takes to maintain this development practice. This tour will be part of our environmental sustainability forum to bring awareness to stormwater management solutions, which has been an increasing concern in our state. The tour will be held on Wednesday, July 24th, starting at the Lodwick Visitor Center from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Registration is required to attend. NVCOG will also be providing transportation by bus from our office to Yukon Stores. We will be departing from the office at 8:30 a.m. and should return around 2:30 p.m. If you are interested in transportation, please register by July 3rd. An email with tour information and a registration link was sent out on Tuesday, which you should have all received. All municipal officials are welcome to attend. I'd be happy to take any questions at this time. Thank you.
Does it go beyond municipal officials? I was thinking some, board and commission members, and wetlands, planning and zoning, stuff like that.
We can make that happen.
Okay.
All right, any other questions for Tom?
Has everyone seen the big low impact development project in Nottingham?
Well,
On the Bell Green, they're building a pool. I don't know if anyone's seen it.
Their sister.
Let's get it right.
This is the quintessential LID project. We're gonna send them by street department people.
Yeah.
All right.
Following it closely.
Who else would put a swimming pool on the town green?
That's good. That's a good way to capture it.
All right, I think we will consider a brief roundtable. If there's anything really important that someone wants to bring up, let's bring it up. If not, we will be ahead of schedule. Hearing none, we'll go to adjournment. Move to adjourn. Oh, excuse me. Hold on. 1 second. I'm gonna entertain a motion that we cancel the July meeting. And I'll just note for those who need to know, who don't already know, that we will have our waste committee at that same time of the July meeting.
And August.
And in August. So we need a motion to cancel. You want to cancel the July and August meeting?
No, we don't have an August meeting.
Okay, motion to cancel.
The July
Motion
19th
from
regular.
Shelton, second from Middlebury. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No, I have no excuse.
I
said nothing about it.
You were marked as absent.
You won't be late for the July 19th meeting.
Motion return also.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
You did a good job on that. I thought your budget was meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
New officer we just hired. Yesterday.
I needed it.